So I'm pretty sure you guys are all familiar with foreign aid. So foreign aid is military or economic aid given by one nation to another. So the problem with this is why is the U.S. giving or funding so much money to other countries when we have our own problems to deal with? So and we're giving so much money away too. From theblaze.com, the U.S. approximately sent $3.7 trillion overseas in 2012 for foreign aid. The top 5 countries U.S. give foreign aid to Israel, $3.75 billion, Afghanistan, $2.327 billion, Pakistan, $2.102 billion, and Iraq, $1.683 billion, Egypt, $1.557 billion. So the problem is, we could probably just use that money. If we have a lot of problems with the U.S., we could use it as maybe homelessness or education system. They say we have budget cuts, so we could probably use for the education and employee rates going down too. And the problem with giving foreign aid is that we're not just giving foreign aid to countries that think that is an ally to the U.S., but we're giving foreign aid to countries that despise the U.S., that hate us. So that doesn't make sense to me. So to countries like communist countries too, like Russia, Cuba, China, such as that. From IB Times, over the last 10 years, the U.S. has given money to 185 countries, even ones that it doesn't normally get along with, like Cuba, Russia, and China. And the study conducted among some 330,000 people in 60 countries asked respondents if they considered the United States an enemy, partner, or neutral. The countries with the highest percentage of citizens who considered the U.S. an enemy were the countries that received the highest foreign aid. Now, I would understand, like I said earlier, I would understand if we give foreign aid to countries that were like an ally to the U.S. that we get along with, but to countries that we don't get along with, that sees us as an enemy, like that doesn't seem right. Because I'm pretty sure most of you guys have a person that you guys hate, dislike. If they needed help, you guys would just be like, screw them. I would too. And so, you wouldn't even give a thought about helping them. So why would the U.S. Send money to them if it's not even our problems to deal with in the first place? And so, we're not just spending money, but we're also sending foreign military assistance from national priorities. In 2013, the U.S. spent around $14 billion for foreign military assistance. That's money spent on training foreign armies and providing them with weapons. So we're not just giving them weapons, or we're not just giving them money, but we're also supplying them weapons. And so I feel like if we could just use that money to help maybe school, for example, like education, and college students with loans, because loans are they're a lot of money. For example, from Ashley Hall from StarTribune.com, Ashley Hall borrowed nearly $75,000 for her first year of veterinary school at the University of Minnesota. And now 2 years later, it's hard for her to believe that by the time she graduates in 2016, she'll owe more than $300,000. And that's a lot of money, because I'm pretty sure some of you guys are going to have to apply for a loan too. And having to deal with that, you might have to resort to having multiple jobs maybe, because by the time after you graduate, if you want to live by yourself, you're going to have to pay for rent, your car payment or whatever, and then on top of that, everything else, you got to pay for your student loan. And if you're having trouble paying with that student loan, it could be a big burden, and it could just eat you up inside. It could give you a lot of stress. So I feel like maybe we could do something with the money and then give it, or help with the student loan on the college system. And not just that, school with, they say we have school budget cuts, so like, yeah, we have school budget cuts, so they say they're firing teachers and there's overcrowded classrooms, so, and they're canceling school programs from Projects.New York Times. We could use the money on school budget cuts and help the students to give them as much education as they can receive, and to give the school as much resources they need to help the students succeed. Most summer school programs from students from elementary through high school were canceled this year in anticipation of state budget cuts. California elementary high schools are cutting staff, increasing student-teacher ratios, and eliminating some arts and after-school study programs. Some public school classes in Los Angeles are so crowded that students perch on file cabinets or sit on the floor while teachers struggle to maintain quality and grade hundreds of papers. So imagine a classroom where it's like this size, but there's not enough like desks, so you'll have like students maybe sit on the floor right there or in the back or leaning against the wall right here. So I feel like if we just use that money and help ourselves, the U.S., it'll be better instead of just giving all these money and aid to other countries. That we should just focus on our own economy.
Nathan, what do you think? He left. Oh, okay. He was here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, James, you identified the topic. You need a more interesting attention device. The amount of money that you're talking about, I think that you've got a conflation of numbers. You've got some yearly numbers. You may have a lifetime of numbers that you're putting together and treating as if they're the same. So you want to be a little bit careful about that. One thing that's missing is any explanation about why spending this money is not producing any desirable outcome. The closest you get to that is the nice piece of information that says we give a lot of money to people that feel antagonistic towards us. That's good. But is there any benefit from having done so? And you don't really talk about what it is that we've accomplished by providing either military support or economic support for those countries. It would be nice if your student loans, for instance, went from 8% interest down to 4% interest, but if the consequence of that is that 200,000 people die of starvation in another part of the world because we're not providing the kind of food aid that we provided before, I think people might say, well, maybe I could live with paying a higher interest. But we don't have any data for making that comparison from your speech. So we don't really know, are we giving something that is useless and has no consequence and gets wasted, and therefore it wouldn't be missed if it was sent, and we could use it more effectively here. There's also kind of a simplistic way of looking at how we spend money. Education is primarily a state, local issue. Federal government provides next to nothing when it comes to funding of public education. And so if you're talking about federal aid, that would have to change drastically, and there are all kinds of issues involved with that. So I think that it's a little bit of an oversimplification. You're reading too much, you're still looking at your notes, you don't really make a lot of eye contact, and you got the nervous feet going on also. Everybody's dancing a little bit more today than I thought was necessary. All right, remember the test is on Wednesday. Bring a Scantron. I'm going to email you guys instructions about the speech, so don't worry about that. Thank you. If you've got a written peer evaluation to turn in, you need to do that.